let's start. Okay, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for coming to this event this morning. My name's Sophia and I work for KCLSU. I'm just here to introduce the event and take some of your questions. So feel free to use the Q&A box that should be on the side of your screen and ask any questions, and then I will pass them on to our student officers who are with us today. Today we have three of our student officers. So we have Ales, Hina and Tasnia, and they're going to be talking a little bit about their roles, how they can help you throughout the year, what kind of things they have planned for Welcome and for the whole academic year, and then also taking your questions. We have 6 student officers, so today we only have 3, but the other 3 student officers will be hosting the same event next Monday. So just make sure to come to that as well. But if you have any questions that concerns the other officers, feel free to ask them here because they might be able to help you as well. So without further ado, you guys can start.
Hi guys. So we have a specific order that we go in to make life a bit easier because there's so many of us and we started the year with like loads of meetings and stuff. So I'm going to hand it over to Alice to introduce herself.
I am going to try and share my screen if that's okay. Hopefully you've got that now. Yeah, that looks good. So hi, yeah, my name's Alice. I am your Vice President in Education for this year, with a specific focus on health students. If I just flip there, hopefully you guys can see that. So my remit is the 4 health schools. So if you are a medic, a dentist, a nurse, a midwife, a physiotherapist, if you're studying psychology or neuroscience at the IOPPN, then I am your representative. And if you aren't studying those subjects, then at the next session you'll meet Vatsav, who is the VP in Education for Arts and Sciences. So he does the same job that I do, but for the Arts and Humanities and Sciences degrees. But if you study as part of the Life Sciences and Medicine, here in the top left, if you're at the IOPPN, top in the middle, at the Florence Nightingale Faculty for Nursing, Midwifery and Palliative Care in the bottom in the middle, or FODOCS, the Faculty of Dentistry, Oral and Craniofacial Sciences, then I am your representative. A little bit about myself first. As you may be able to tell from my voice, if you're a Londoner, I'm not from London. I was born in Lancaster in the northwest. I'm a medical student. I've done 2 years of medical school, and I'll be going back after this year to do the rest. My likes are video games, comedy and writing. I'm a previous president of KCL Doctor Who Society, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. A really great time doing that. We've got a small society, but it's a really great society. And I'm also Science Gallery London Young Leader. Any of the life science and medicine students, or sort of if you're doing common year 1, if you know what that is, the general sort of science, like biomedical science subjects, then you'll be based at Guy's campus. And on Guy's campus we have a wonderful gallery called Science Gallery London. It's a place, it's like an art gallery, but it talks about science in a really new way. I love being there. When we are able to all get in the same place, I would highly advise you go and have a look around, because it's really great. Just to talk a little bit about some top things from King's. So as a medical student, I'm really interested in psychiatry, and I mean there are over like 300 societies, or a crazy amount of societies, but KCL Psychiatry Society was something that I got really involved in my first and second year. Lots of events, lots of socials. Obviously those look a little bit different now, but lots of societies have been preparing to do digital events and events online, and some really exciting stuff coming out. As I said, I was also president for Doctor Who Society last year, so if you're really keen on doing some sort of leadership roles and being involved in the running of society, or if you come here and you see that there isn't a society for something you really love, then by all means set one up. So I was involved in the running of Doctor Who Society, and also the Shed Cafe, also on Guy's campus, is a really wonderful space. Again, obviously that looks a little bit different this year, but hopefully you will be able to taste the wonderful food selection that we have at the Shed, and also at Guy's Bar, and the 2 venues at Strand, which are the Shack and the Vault. So my top priorities for this year are threefold. My first is about student representation. My experiences of King's are that we could be doing more to listen to students and really value students' voice in terms of certain faculties in the university. So I'm really keen to work with students this year to improve the ways that students and staff talk to one another and really create some space for staff to listen to students and students to listen to staff and create a really welcome, inclusive sort of environment and a really great place to study. My second point is about student community. We have 4 campuses, if you're not aware. There's Guy's, Waterloo and Strand. They're all quite close to each other. And then Denmark Hill, which is in Camberwell, which is generally a medical campus and it's where the IOPPN is. I'm really keen to create a student community feel and atmosphere across all 4 of those campuses, especially Denmark Hill. It does get a little bit left out sometimes because it's all the way in Camberwell, but it's a campus that I was at last year and I'm really keen to make a really inclusive, warm environment. I keep using the word inclusive, but that's the key point. By working with some of the student groups that are there and seeing what it is that those guys particularly want, and if you're one of them, really keen to work with you in terms of what will make your time at university even better than it already is. And the last bit is just a bit about what is KCLSU. I have sort of through the society worked really closely with KCLSU in the past, and I really want to sort of broaden that message about what KCLSU is and make sure that everyone is aware both what we do as a student union, which means that we represent the rights of students, and also in terms of the events and things that we provide. So yeah, I really want to broaden that message out so that everyone feels a part of KCLSU. This is just an Outlook slide, you might not be too interested, but just to give you sort of an indication of the sort of conversations that I'm having. You can see I did some induction stuff sort of on Monday and Tuesday, which are the 2 left columns. Have I still got? Yeah. I also meet with King's teams on a regular basis. The education team are a really key team in sort of devising the strategy of how the university delivers education. So I meet with them every week. In fact, we all meet with them every week. We meet with KCLSU as one of the officers and one of the we're colleagues equal to the CEO. It's quite impressive. Richard Trembeth, if you're a health student, again, he is the Senior Vice President for Health. So I meet with him quite often to talk about what his priorities are and my priorities and work together. And yeah, that's the end of my bit. Does whoever want to take over share slides on top of mine? But really glad to meet all of you and work with you next year. And yeah, hopefully see you on campus soon, if not in a virtual space, once we can all get back to campus.
Tasnia, do you mind sharing the slides from your thing?
Yeah,
because
sure.
you have all of them together, yeah? Because I think I'm next. Yeah.
So how's that? Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just mind skipping to me. Niall.
You're getting an insight into our other officers here. So Niall is the Vice President for Activities and Development. I've already talked about Vatsav, who's Education and Arts and Sciences, and we also have Salma, our President.
I see a lot of questions, but I think we'll answer them at the end. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Hina and I'm the VP Postgraduate. So under my remit, I take care of all postgraduate students, PGT, which is PG Taught, and PGR, which is PG Research or PhD students that come under my remit. So a little bit about me. I came to King's as a master's student. I did my undergrad in London, but in a different university. It's called Brunel University, London. So I came to King's last September 2019, and obviously I had to leave in March because everything that went wrong with the world. And now I'm here as working with KCLSU. So I'm an international student. I didn't grow up in London. I moved to London when I was 18 for university, and yeah, that's a little bit about me. So in terms of my role, I work with postgraduate students, represent them, and it's important to remember that a lot of postgrad students are very disengaged and very sort of a very diverse group of students. They don't fit sort of into the undergraduate bracket of 18 to 22-year-olds. A lot of them can be mature students and like parents and, you know, interrupting employment to study. So I think to take care of them, it's a very, very big task because it's not sort of a standardized way to do so. And yeah, Tasman, can you go next slide, please? Okay, so my main priorities being a student officer is careers and employability. So like I mentioned, PG students are extremely diverse, and King's, I think, doesn't provide as much as career education as I would like it to do. When I was a student, I was sort of constantly struggling to find some sort of employability opportunities and career education, and because I am still a bit confused about what I want to do after I finish this job. So I think a little bit of guidance on that, and a lot of other students in the same position as me would love. So that's something I'm aiming to work on. Social interests, I mentioned this earlier as well, that PGs are very disengaged with the union. They do not sort of attend the events and are not really like active with campaigning or just being involved with the union and their events. So that's something I would want to work on as well. And along with that, I'd also want to work on inter-university, so inter-London University networking opportunities between PG students, like so that they can, you know, can just have a bit more of a social engagement. Because for me personally, when I came to King's, I only made friends within my course. I didn't have any friends outside of that because I didn't get the opportunity to meet them. Like a lot of the PG students don't live in residences, they live privately, so they sort of miss out on that aspect of making friends as well. So that's something that I felt was really important. And financial feasibility, obviously me being an international postgraduate student, I had to like invest heavily financially. So I just think that levying this amount of money would be great for all incoming postgraduate students. And we're working on a third installment, but that is more to do with Tasnia, who's also next now, and Salma, who's our president. So yeah, these are my 3 top priorities to enhance student experience for postgraduate students. Tasnia, can you go next slide? Okay, so I don't think you're very interested in a week in my life, but it was just on this presentation. So like you can see, like, so basically as officers, we get the chance to be on an interview panel. So we get to help recruit employees for King's and KCLSU. And that was what I was doing. I was interviewing a manager for KCLSU, and it's super fun. And it's great that I get to do that. I've always been on the other side, being the interviewee and never the interviewer. So I think it was really fun. We have Let's Talk IG. So if you guys don't know, we have our own Instagram account, that's KCLSU Officers. If you haven't followed us, please go follow us right now. We do post a lot of fun stuff. It's just started, so it'd be great if you all could follow us. And then we have Officers SLT. So SLT is the senior leadership team at KCLSU. And we usually meet with the consultant who sort of like helps us to team build, because all 6 of us were elected. None of us sort of were friends. So to sort of create that cohesiveness and connectedness within us, we refer to an external consultant as well. And I think she's worked great because me and the officers get along like fire. Literally, we are literally so close now. So this is just all basic stuff, and it looks like a pretty empty week. I have a lot more going on this week with Welcome. And so for Welcome, we have, for postgrads, we have a coffee morning and a few other things planned, and I think an email will go out to inform you all about it. So yeah, I think that's me, and yeah, we'll answer questions in the end.
Is it? Let me try and go. There we go. Can you guys see that? Is that fine? Okay, hi guys. So I can't see myself, so this is really weird because I'm presenting. My name's Hasnia. I am the VP Welfare and Community this year at King's. Short introduction about myself. So I am London, born and raised, if you can't hear it from my accent. I absolutely love this city, and I love that King's, all of the campuses are really like central London, but they're in like really different areas and you can explore them really nicely. This is of no help to anyone, but so I've been working since I've been studying. It's just something that I enjoy, and it's something that it helped kind of time manage. And I don't know if some of you are working now, but some people do say that working in university is a bit different and is a lot more different. You have a lot more kind of free time in uni. Like when you were in sixth form, you had free study periods. Usually you have to be in school, you have to be in the library, you have to be doing something. But at uni, if you've got your lecture from 10 to 12 and then you've got your seminar from 2 to 3, from 12 to 3 you've got free time, so you can study if you want, you can go out to eat, you can just nap. Like you literally have a chance to do everything. So I just took it up by doing some work because it's just something that I enjoyed, and then I moved on to this role in July. So my background is I just graduated from 3 years of BSc Geography and I absolutely loved it. Geography is like one of my favourite subjects, and it was definitely something that I was looking forward to studying, because it's one of those subjects that you don't get to delve deep into a lot when you're in sixth form. It's all kind of basic, and then you come into uni and you realise there's a lot more to it. And I think the really interesting thing about my degree is that there's a BA and a BSc. So in first year we all kind of had the same modules, we had the same seminars, and then we got to branch out into like more individual modules based on what we want. So as a cohort we were like 150, which is like quite small, but my BSc Geography cohort was only 50 of us, and then in smaller kind of modules there might be about 20 of us, maybe 15 of us, which is crazy now thinking back at school when you had classes of about 30. But yeah, I absolutely loved my 3 years. It was like definitely a mix of emotions from first year to third year, and there's a lot of growing you do with your degree, but I suppose that's just what happens. So my first year I was not like involved in uni, in like student experiences at all. I kind of just went to my lectures and I went home because I just couldn't really, I don't want to say I couldn't be bothered, but I was like, oh, do I really want to be doing this? So for my first kind of couple of terms, I was just on my own, kind of making friends within my own cohort. And then I got to second year and I was like, wow, I'm going to be here for another 2 years. It's better if I kind of get more involved within the uni, within the union, and kind of like branch out. So I took an active step and I started joining more societies in my second year. And that's like kind of the biggest piece of advice I would have given my fresher self, is to like join what you can, because you can never, I suppose you can never like meet enough people. There's like Alice said, there's like hundreds of different societies at King's, and there's going to be one that suits you. And so like taking that active step of getting more involved really helped kind of shape my university experience, because I think it helped me academically, because it helped me because like you had a bit more of a social circle and sometimes it was easier to study. Yeah, in first year I kind of just made friends within my geography cohort and they're all really lovely people, but in second year I kind of branched out and made friends with medics and physiotherapists and like people from all different campuses, and it was really nice kind of having that kind of mix. So in my third year, sort of like what I'm doing now, we have a trustee board which all charities like legally have to have, and it's the highest kind of governing board at KCLSU, so you get to make all the kind of big decisions. So I decided to become a student trustee in my third year, and again I really enjoyed it. It took me a bit out of my comfort zone because it was more very kind of like big decisions, but it was really good kind of sitting on that board as a student whilst I was studying, because I was sitting with the other student officers who just left, the CEO and the other members of the senior leadership team at KCLSU, and sitting on the same board as them and making the same decisions was a really kind of great feeling. And now here I am as a student officer. So this is kind of what the websites say that student officers do. I'm not going to read it all out because I'm sure you guys can read this in your spare time. But KCL, there's over 40,000 students. Like, I never realized how big the uni was until I kind of got into this role, because we have 3 different campuses. You have your kind of people that you know, people in your courses, but you never really kind of deep how big this uni is. So we're all full-time paid positions, and the kind of 4 main things we do is we amplify student voices. So we're here to make decisions for you guys, on behalf of you guys, but also amplify. I don't know if you can hear my dad screaming in the background. Amplify the student voices with like campaigns and stuff. We also like to engage students with our campaigns, making sure that students are involved in every kind of step. We build student communities by joining student groups and student-led activities, and we develop a student-led union. I think that's the most important thing. A union is only as much as its members, so we make sure to get students involved from the beginning. So at the bottom it's just kind of my remits more specifically. I'm the lead officer for development of student wellbeing underrepresented student communities. That's kind of cohort I represent and look after in terms of like, what I do. Why is this not going next? There we go. So my aims for the year, kind of explained by the other student officers. When we get elected, we're based off a manifesto. So we have a list of things that we want to achieve through the year within like our time in office. And the kind of main objectives for me personally is welfare support on a faculty scale. I found that there's so much support at KCLSU, I think, because we're such a big organisation that it kind of caters to everyone. But I found that a lot of it wasn't as specific as I would have wanted. So talking to someone as a geography student, kind of talking about my deadlines would have been a bit more difficult, because they might not have understood my modules or like how my year works. So I want to work on making sure that there's more kind of welfare support on a lower scale, so you can kind of climb up with the support, and financial support. There's a lot of kind of financial support that Kings give, but sometimes it's not signposted as well, and I'm also working on some campaigns that previous officers would have done, such as Slice the Price and Go Fund Yourself, which again you can see on the website, and if you have any questions we'll just answer it at the end. And then kind of my smaller objectives are decolonising the curriculum, because it's something, I suppose, in the wake of the BLM movement, it's something that's become more prominent. There's a lot of kind of institutions, companies that are committed to like diversifying their workforce, or making sure that they're committed to kind of anti-racism. And this is something that we can do in the education sector to make sure that students feel included, because I felt like as a student, I was reading books about people who weren't like me, but there were lots of people like me within my sector. And women in leadership, as you can see, I think last year there was only 2 student officers, but this year, thankfully, we've got 4 out of 6 of us are women, and we really have KCL and their kind of support to thank for that. And just supporting students. A lot of students have like brilliant ideas, but sometimes they don't know how to materialize them, or they don't know how to go about it. So that's kind of our job as officers, to help you guys kind of come up with campaign ideas and what you want to do. So this is just some stuff that I've done so far, just to give you guys an idea of what we actually do. So July was when we all started, and there was lots and lots of introductions. Like I said, KCL is a massive institution that like there's so many people, there's so many different people to meet. Like we're 2.5 months into our role and we're still meeting new people. Like Ian mentioned, we have loads of team building stuff, and I think it was really important because now, like as an officer team, we like gel really well together, and it kind of makes us more like I don't want to use the word task force, but when we come to decisions, we do it as a team. And lots of meetings. And August, kind of more, I would say, more productive stuff that we did. We released a statement about Lebanon, about the tragic incident, and all of us are, so I think myself, Salma, Niall, and then Hina soon are all graduates. And sometimes when you well, you guys are probably not thinking of this anytime soon, but when you graduate, there's a bit of emptiness because you were obviously a student for 3 years and it took over like so much. So we started a blog called Graduand, which I think Sophie came up with, which is quite clever, kind of focusing on like what to do as a graduate and like next steps, and just kind of focusing more on what I want to get on throughout the year. So this is some things that I've learned. So online etiquette, yeah, so we've been working from home and I'm not a type of person to work from home at all. I find it really difficult, but I think the best thing is I'm actually wearing my pajama bottoms underneath, but I've got actual top on, so it's really good to be working from home. There's loads of kind of different people and loads of different levels that you're speaking at, and I think in light of COVID, there's a lot of things that are happening very, very fast, and we kind of have to keep up with it, which sometimes can be a bit difficult, but usually we're up to it, we're up to speed. Again, this is quite boring for you guys because you guys probably don't care, but this was my first week at KCLSU, so you can already see like it was super busy. We were like stuck right into the deep end, and then this was the following week where, yeah, this was an intense week, but I think kind of the intenseness really helped kind of settle ourselves in, because obviously working from home, you don't get that kind of office feel, you don't get to meet the students, you don't get to meet your team, so sometimes it can be a bit isolating, but I think this really helped us meet everyone and see what kind of people we're working with and our colleagues. This was my most recent week, looking at, again, some objective planning, meeting some people from the college, and just catching up with the officers. So that is it from me. Let's go. And I think what we should do is also probably just a quick introduction of our other officers. So here's
Tasnia, I think I should answer the questions. There are too many in the chat right now. They can introduce themselves when they come next week. I don't know, Sophia, what do you think?
Sure, let's do questions, and then if we have some time left over, we can do introductions, because there are quite a few, so thanks everyone for sending in questions. Tasnia, are you able to stop presenting so that people can see the cameras? Because at the moment I don't think they can.
Is that better? Can you guys
yeah, I think so. Let me just have a look. I think everyone's still seeing the presentation, but that's fine. There are a couple of questions which I'm going to answer. So I work for KCLSU. I'm not an officer, unfortunately. I have a much more boring job. But some of the questions that I can answer that are here on the chat are, where can the links for these talks be found to watch? And you can find the links on our YouTube channel. Sorry, I think it says on the screen that the live event will continue in a moment, so it might have paused because we stopped presenting. Can you present the last slide?
Can you see that?
Yeah, I should be able to see that. Okay, sorry everyone. I hope you can see us now. Again, I was just answering the first question, which was where can you find the link for these talks. So we're recording all of them and they'll be found on our YouTube channel. I've put the link for that in the chat, so if you want to have a look, just click on it, but you'll be able to find it on the KCLSU website as well. So we also have a question which all of you can answer, which is how did you apply to become a student officer?
Who wants to take that?
I'll take that. So KCL have two, or the SU have 2 times where we do elections for 2 different things. So we applied for the spring elections. We were applying the spring elections to become an officer. So it's kind of like standing in any election. You have to go to some like induction training stuff, and you have to have a manifesto. So like everyone will know when it's election season, because the whole of SU is buzzing. There's like posters everywhere, like people are coming up to talk to you. But I think spring elections open up in like February time. So they'll be signposted and you'll be able to see some stuff on the website. But all of us, so myself and Alice were in the spring elections, and then Hina was in some following elections.
Yeah, I did a digital election during June. It was when it was peak Corona time. There was no in-campus election. It was all digital. So yeah, that was a great experience actually. I see the next question is, are you doing this next year studies or are you taking time off? So I am studying and working at the same time. Tasnia has finished studying and Alice has taken time off to do her role.
Okay, great. So another question that we have, which I think I will take this one, just because it's more of a KCLSU based one, is will the in-person fresher events still be taking place? And yes, so we have digital events as well as in-person events. So just have a look on our website just to see what events will be where and which ones will be online. I think something that we're trying to do is take a digital first approach. So we're going to try to do everything digital first, but then we'll also have some events on campus because we know quite a few of you might already be on campus or planning to come back. But if you have any questions or if you have any requests for some of the digital events to be done in person, or if you have any requests for the in-person events to be done digitally, let us know as well. And we can definitely work that in because it's new for everybody. So we're all just trying to sort of try it out and see what works best. Cool. So the next question that we have, I've also put on here the Instagram link for the officers' Instagram, so make sure to follow that. Another good question, I think, Tasnia, you might be able to answer this one, is would you say it's difficult to work 20 hours a week alongside your degree? And it's from someone that's doing biochem undergrad.
So I think I probably wouldn't advise this because it was quite difficult. In my first and second year, I think I was working about 20 hours. And then in my third year, I was working 30. And this is alongside all my society stuff, and it could kind of get really difficult. But I kind of found that working with studying made sure that you use the time that you had more efficiently. Because a lot of my friends who weren't working, everyone would just go to the library and kind of start chatting. But if I went to the library, I had to go to the library because I had to work, because I had work for 8 hours the next day and my deadline was in 2 days. So sometimes it could get a bit difficult, honestly, but it was really good with time managing. It made so much sense, and it's good because you're earning some money on the side, because I didn't take out any loans. I just took out my tuition fees, so I had my own money to kind of spend, and it was nice to have that financial freedom.
Great. There's another question which is quite similar that's just come in from what you have just answered, which is how can you become a KCLSU officer? In what year of your course are you eligible to apply? So yeah, which one of you wants to take that on?
I'll take that if that's because I haven't spoken yet. So as Tasnia said, and Nina both said as well, you become a KCLSU officer by election. You're eligible to apply from the first year that you're part of KCLSU. So if you got to February and you decided that you wanted to run for one of the 6 officer roles, then absolutely go for it. There are also other roles. So for example, if you are a medical or bioscience student, there are Medical Students Association and the Bioscience Students Association, and they have student representation roles. So they have a welfare officer and an education officer. So again, if that was something that you're interested in standing for, maybe getting some experience to then help your vice president manifesto and election process, then by all means. But you're free to stand as soon as you're keen, really. That sort of energy is obviously really positive.
Great. I think, Alice, we had another question for you as well, which is, will we have parents in higher years who we can ask questions to about studying medicine?
Yeah, so with medicine specifically, it works a little differently in each faculty. So you could either get in touch with your faculty, or if you know, again, there's a student group like the Medical Students Association, then feel free to find them on social media or find an email and send them an email. With medicine, when you join medical school, when you join GKT, you'll be put into a tutor group of about 10 people. And those 10 people will share about 4 medic parents from the second year. And you'll meet with them right at the very start of the year. Again, probably online because of the way things work, but I don't know that for definite. Again, if you're not sure, get in touch with the Medical Students Association. But yeah, you'll be given about 4 or so medic parents from second year, between about 10 first year students who can help you with any queries that you have, often sharing sort of study resources and that sort of thing. They're a really great resource because they've all signed up to do that, so they're really keen to help you guys out. The transition to first year for medicine in particular can be quite tricky because it's quite intense in terms of hard studying, hitting the textbooks and really getting everything committed to memory. But they'll be really great to support you through that.
Okay, that's great. Sounds very difficult. Very rewarding. Another question, which I think you'll be able to respond as well as the other officers, is can we join societies at any point of the year? So there's quite a few questions about societies, and yeah, just asking when they can join and if they can join right now and online.
Sure. I was going to potentially share my screen so we could have a look at the website and show people the website. So let me do that now. Okay. So if you've not seen it before, this is the KCLSU.org website. This is basically your go-to for anything that you want. If you want to know about a society, if you know that there's a society that you're interested in joining, then if you just hit the search button at the top, then you can search them. So let's go with everybody's favourite, KCL Society. Search them. When the page loads, oh hang on, maybe get rid of KCL. Oh, there they are. There we go, and they're here in the top left, Doctor Who Society. Open that. And the membership options are right here. So some societies are free, Doctor Who Society is free. But yeah, you can just essentially search any society that you want. If you know they exist and just join, you would add to basket. And if you don't, because if you're a fresher, you might not have your KCL login, but you can like check out as a guest using your normal email and do it that way. And you can also find out a little bit more about the society here. If you're not sure, then if you go to student groups, then you've got activity groups, which are sort of your like subject-based societies, and you've also got sports clubs. So let's go to the list of activity groups. And here are all the different societies, so feel free to have a browse. These are all of the societies that we have here. There's absolutely loads. And you can also, again, search them to narrow them down. So say if you want psych, then you've got psych. So yeah, but by all means, if you know there's a society and you're interested in signing up for it, then by all means. Also, while we're here, just wanted to show you, if you're not aware, this is the welcome page. If you go to kclsu.org/welcome, then you'll see all of the information that's relevant to the welcome fair. Got a little bit of a video here from our previous freshers in welcome fair. Some sort of blog updates and things that might help you when you're moving to university. If you scroll down, there's the digital fair, and you want this button here, the official welcome app, to know about all of the digital events that are going on. And also, if you sign up to that event, there's lots of students that are sort of sharing their information about what they're studying and connecting over that app, so it's a really great app to get. But yeah, kclsu.org/welcome is where you can find all of the information for the welcome fair.
Okay. There was just one more question on societies, and then we'll move on to a different topic.
Sure.
But there's a question: how do you apply for positions in societies? And then someone says, in the Law Society, for instance.
So again, it depends on the society, but basically at the end of every year, the society will go through its own sort of election and committee process. So say the Law Society, so you'd joined the Law Society at the beginning of your first year and you were really keen the next year to have a position, say as an events officer or as a social events officer, whatever positions they have, the Law Society would tell you how they are going to elect the next year's committee. And so each society will have its own different way of doing it. Each society has a different number of positions. Every society has a president and a treasurer. But yeah, they'll have their own process for doing that. And if you become part of the society, then when it comes to that time of the year, you'll find out about that.
Okay, great. So here's a question for all of you, which I think is a very nice question. So before the elections, is it possible to join your team to help you organise some events? So how can students get involved in like some of your projects or your campaigns, and basically help student officers in that way?
So a lot of our campaigns are really student focused, because there's no point of doing anything that we're doing if it's not student focused. So a lot of the time maybe there'll be surveys coming out, or if you follow our Instagram, then you'll be able to see. But it's usually advertised. You can always email us if you want to get involved in something. It's usually always on the website about like kind of the different campaigns that we're doing. So if there's something that you really want to get into, literally just get in touch with us and we'll kind of sort out how you can help, whether it's kind of doing surveys or like having certain meetings about different things, or even like your experience about what you're doing. Just get in touch with any of us. We're all like super friendly and we're really open to kind of having as many students on board as we can.
Okay, great. And I think there are quite a few more questions. I'm really glad that everyone is taking the time to ask. There was one question which was, when is the Freshers Fair? And that is next week, Friday. You can find more information about it on the Welcome page, like Alice showed, or you can just download the KCLSU Welcome app as well. I think, Tazia, this might be a good question for you. How did you become a student trustee?
Like I said, for the student officer elections, they were open in spring, but we also have autumn elections where we have our union development team. So your sports teams and different academic associations that are open in autumn. So last year, I think it was October time that I applied, but this year I think it's pushed forward. So it's nominations are opening up in September. So with any election, you kind of nominate yourself, put yourself forward, and then you have a kind of certain time that you do a manifesto, do your campaigning, and then votes open up. So this year will probably all be online because no one's going to be, I don't think, there's no in-campus campaigning. So it's the kind of the first set of elections that are opening up in autumn, like September, October time.
Okay, great. Another question someone had, and any of you can take this, is what can I do in my first year to improve my CV and try getting internships in the summer? And there was another question as well on how do you get a part-time job while you're at uni?
I can answer the job one. So luckily because I was working at the same place since I was 16, so I was kind of working with them. But if you're London based, a lot of the time you're just kind of handing out your CV, like you just have to take a day out on your Saturday, go around and hand out your CVs and see if people will take you. The KCLSU also do student jobs, so you can work in SU as well. And I think the listing is on the website. And in terms of CV stuff, you probably are better to take this, but I didn't really do any internships. I wasn't really interested in stuff like that. So I don't really have any internships to my name. But I think it's really important that you, like, a lot of the time you can get kind of bogged down with that. It's like, oh my god, like loads of people are doing this, they're doing that. But sometimes it's okay if you're just studying or if you're just working.
Yeah, I'd say definitely sign up to the careers department at King's. They do send out emails and they do help a lot as well with finding jobs. And they do hold also, I saw a question about CVs and stuff. They do CV workshops and you can definitely sign up to them and they'll help you.
Okay, great. And I think as well, I would add, I was also a KCL student until last year, so I graduated last year. And one thing I did throughout my entire degree was work at KCLSU Hubs. So Hubs are basically the department that are kind of the face of the union, so they're the reception desk, but they also help with like room bookings and a variety of queries as well. And they hire all of their staff as students that work at the front desk. So if you're looking for a student job, have a look at hubs as well, and see when they're hiring. They usually do sort of different times of hiring throughout the year, so you don't need to sort of commit to anything now as soon as you start. But if you do want to have a look at anything, have a look at hubs, and also our venues will be hiring throughout the year. So if you need a student job that's a little bit more flexible, you can have a look at that as well. Okay, great. We have quite a few questions, some that have kind of been already answered, so I'm just going to skip through these. Is, do you get paid to be a KCLSU officer? Yes. You can find out more info about that on the website. And a couple more questions, and then we will let some more questions in, because there's a few questions waiting in like the published area. There's a couple of them about how do we find out who our medic parents are? Is there any sort of structure to that in terms of timing?
It'll be so the way that it's, again, this is the way that it's run in the past. Obviously it'll be a different way, I would think, this year, but essentially there will be an event or a specific time where the Medical Students Association get all of the first years together, and then, like, because you'll know your tutor group by that point, and we'll say, oh, well, for tutor group MA03, your medic parents are A, B, C, D. I don't know how it's going to work this year, but the easiest way to find out will be to follow the Medical Students Association on social media, because they'll be telling you about all of the different events. And also, once you start at King's, you'll get your email address, and you should get emails from the Medical Students Association. You'll get like a weekly newsletter, or if you don't, then go to the website and sign up for it, and you'll be able to see what day it is. It'll probably be sometime within the first 2 weeks, but it will be sent out to everyone so everyone knows, and it'll be like a specific event or time slot where you'll get to meet them and have a chat with them and get to know a bit more.
Okay, great. A couple more questions that we had were directed towards Hina, and I think some of the questions that we had for Hina were about the PG events. So when will they be taking place, and if they'll be done online or in person? So yeah.
So our coffee morning, unfortunately, will be digital, and I know it's really sad. Like, it'd be great if everyone could meet in person, but we want a lot of people to come and meet each other. So I think at this point of time, it's just useless to have that sort of hope, because it's not going to happen. It's going to be online. It's going to be towards the end of September, and we're going to obviously publish the event on Facebook, and it's going to be through Zoom. And then, yeah, it should be really fun. Yeah, so please do come along, and I will see you there. So there are PGs in this chat, Sophia. I thought it was mainly undergraduate, but that's good to know.
Yeah, just make sure to keep an eye on the officer's Instagram account, and as well on the KCLSU pages if you want to have an update about any of the events that are coming up. There's also quite a few questions regarding will events be virtual or in person. So like I said before, just have a look on the event description, and you will get a little bit more information on that. A couple of the questions that we had on hold were a little bit more towards KCL, so questions about timetabling and inductions and that sort of thing. So I would say for those sort of questions, reach out to your department and ask them what they say. They'll be very keen to take your questions, so just make sure to email them. You can find their email on the King's pages, and just reach out to them and ask, because I think it will be different depending on the department. So just make sure that you reach out to them. But if you haven't got an answer for whatever reason, then do reach out to us, as we can help you as well. There's an email address which I'll put on the chat, which is hello@kclsu.org. And this email address goes directly to the hubs, and they can basically help you to answer any questions that you may have. So just reach out to them on there. Let me have a look to see if there's any other questions. Which Facebook page should I be following for the PG coffee morning? So you can follow the KCLSU Facebook page as well as the office's Instagram that I've put above on the chat. And you get some more information there. But, we should be sending everyone a few welcome emails soon, just kind of telling you guys what events will be available. So don't worry too much about going to keep in touch with that. We will send you some emails to let you know.
Yeah, and I just quickly want to jump in with timetabling. So the last we heard was 18th was probably the latest you would get your timetable. So yeah, don't worry, they'll be out soon.
There are a couple more sort of questions that I'm not sure we're the best people to answer, but there are some questions surrounding the 6-person rule. And it's definitely something that our venues are looking into, and hopefully we'll be sending everybody some information soon. But just keep an eye on our website so that you know whenever we announce anything. But we should be going ahead with all of our events. I think everyone's being very careful to make sure that everybody's safe, and both students and staff are safe on campus, whether they're coming for events or coming in for classes. So just keep an eye on that, and I think the university will also have a bit of information for you as well. Okay, great. There's quite a few questions. Are there any other questions for officers that you think you'd like to answer? Because I've kind of got lost in the middle of all of these. Do you want to add anything?
One thing I want to point out is I hope you guys like my background. This is Morn, one of our kind of biggest libraries, and this is the reading room, where you basically had to get to the room for 9 AM to get a seat. Like, this room gets packed out, but it's such a lovely study space. I think like libraries is another thing, but a fun fact, there was a rumor going around that this was Dumbledore's office. But unfortunately, the library, Morn came out and said, no, that's just a rumour, and I was quite sad to hear about, but it does look kind of like Dumbledore's office, doesn't it? One thing I did want to answer is our weeks seem to be occupied, and the union is interesting, but do you recommend joining in second year rather than first year? And I would say definitely not. Like, first year, it is going to be quite like overwhelming in your first term, because obviously it's super new and it's super different, but I think it's really important kind of getting stuck in, because there's so much like out there, and like your first year you're kind of like finding your different groups, your kind of different kind of people that you might not have met before. But I think it's really important getting stuck in your first year, because that's honestly when you're going to have the most time, because it feels like it's really like there's no time to do anything, but like you're going to have a lot more time in your first year than you are in any of your other years. And usually what happens is you'll join like a bunch of societies in your first year, and then you'll kind of commit to more societies like in your other year, so you'll just kind of not join other societies or not go to other events. But yeah, definitely get stuck in as much as you can in your first year, because that's one of my biggest regrets, is not kind of jumping in head first.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. There's another question which was, how do I become a better candidate for summer internships? And I would say joining societies is definitely a good one.
There's also KCLSU also offer a lot of support with volunteering, so they hold on their website a lot of volunteering opportunities, and we have specific staff that work at KCLSU that can support you in finding volunteering opportunities. So also obviously recognising that you may well need to work alongside your degree if you need a little bit more money, but if you do have the time and you want to volunteer, then that can be a really great way of boosting your CV and all of the ways that people talk about making yourself a better candidate for summer internships. So definitely, and you can go and have a look at those opportunities on the website again. It's all on the website, so yeah, go check it out. Also, just wanted to pick up very quickly on the comments about events and whether they're going to be run in person or not. Our venues are going to be open. They're working on slightly reduced hours, so we have Guy's Bar at Guy's and we have the Vault at Strand campus. They're going to be working on different hours than usual, and also with things like a reduced menu, just for ease for all of the staff involved. But if you're not sure about how an event's going to run, or if you're sort of wanting to make sure that you're kept up to date, then go follow them on social media is the easiest way. Both Guy's Bar and the Vault are on Facebook and Instagram. Go follow them. You can have a look at the specific events. I think most of them are working off table booking, so either you can find the contact details there and get in touch, or someone said about the sports social. If you know there's a specific society going to be there and they might have booked a table, specific sports club, then go search out their social media and see if they've said anything. But yeah, you can basically follow everyone online and just see, because obviously, as Tasni said right at the top, everything changes so quickly. It would be good to sort of keep your finger on the pulse as to how these events are looking.
Great. There's a couple other questions surrounding libraries, and I think unfortunately once again it's one of those questions that we might not be the best people to answer, but I would say catch up with the libraries on the website or on their social media as well. I think they also have Twitter. All the departments do. So catch up with them on there and see what they're saying. I think, and don't quote me on this, I'm pretty sure that they will be open, but it will be run a little bit differently than previous years because of the circumstances at the moment. So do catch up with them on social media and see what kind of things they're saying and when they'll be open, and other things in terms of opening hours as well. There's also a question surrounding, can we apply to become a KCLSU mentor as a first year student?
I don't know if you can apply to be a mentor as a first year student. Someone else can tell me if they know otherwise. I know if you come from a widening participation background, or if you've been involved in some of the sort of KCLSU access programs, then you can apply to our mentoring scheme. If you want to know more about it, I think it's currently actually on the homepage of the KCLSU website, so go have a look at that. But you can apply to be a mentee. I don't know if you can, let's have a look. No, you can't apply to be a mentor under that. But if you wanted to do, again, if you wanted that kind of experience, then have a look at some of the volunteering opportunities, because there are a number of charities and organisations that we sort of support and champion that do things like mentoring in schools, working one-on-one with, again, widening participation students in sort of sixth form to support them to feel confident to come to university. So there are lots of opportunities out there. Within King's, as a first year, you might find it a bit daunting to be a mentor straight off the bat, but there are lots of opportunities like that.
Also, keep your eye out for societies as well, because a lot of societies do kind of outreach programs, and they're like, loads of societies are always looking for people to volunteer, whether it's like kind of, well, like differently for the year, whether it even like holding a bake store or going into schools, or like there's different societies that have so many kind of volunteering opportunities for you, or like fundraising opportunities. So it really depends on like kind of your interests, but yeah, it's like there's definitely loads of opportunities out there.
Yeah, one more thing I'd like to say about societies. If you want to run for society elections, that's also a thing, because the society has a lot of positions within them. Like Alice was also president of Doctor Who Society. So a lot of societies, like the big ones as well, they run internal elections within themselves. So all the members vote, and then they decide on a president and a treasurer and whatever sort of positions they have specific to that society. So maybe it'd be a good idea to get some experience within a society and then run for KCLSU, so at least you're in a similar position. Yeah.
Great, that sounds great. I think that's all the time that we have for today. So thanks everybody for asking your questions. It's really good to see everyone engaging. We got lots of really helpful questions. So if you have any further questions, or if you need a little bit more clarification on your answers, then on your questions, then just ask the officers, send them a message over on Instagram, and they'll be very happy to respond. As well as what you can do is email hello@kclsu.org if you have a more specific question that you need an answer to. But thank you very much for joining this event. If you have any further questions, or if you want to meet the rest of the officers, just pop on over to the following event on next Monday, which will introduce the remaining 3 officers to you, and you'll be able to ask some more questions as well. Do you guys have anything else that you want to say? Otherwise, we'll close up the event here.
I think it's, yeah, just get in touch with us if you guys want to like do anything with us, like follow all of our socials, our Twitters. We're usually that's kind of the best place to know what we're doing. But yeah, like all of us are super friendly, super open with working with different people. So make sure to get in touch with all of us. I'll follow our Instagram.
I was just gonna say that. Please follow our Instagram. And Twitters, if you're more into Twitter.
Oh yeah, you can find each of us individually on Twitter if you do KCLSU_ and then our title. So mine is KCLSU_VPEH for Vice President Education Health. Then you can find us on there too.
Yeah, mine's VPP, so Vice President Postgraduate.
VPWC.
WC.
And you can also use those acronyms to get in touch with us directly. So if you wanted to send an email, then you can just use that sort of acronym and then put @kclsu.org at the end if you wanted to ask us any specific questions.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks for attending, and thanks to our officers for presenting today as well. And yeah, look forward to seeing you all in our next events.
Bye.
Hey guys, it was nice meeting everyone. Well, digitally.